dive in on this?
Want
Want to dive in?
Tell me about Grandpa.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Is it?
I'm excited. I'm a
Yeah.
little loopy.
We're
Tired.
I think we're both pretty tired.
Yeah.
What's going on?
This is like the latest that
Wait a
I think
minute.
that we've ever recorded before like a supposed release, you know? Like
Technically, we usually put it up in 22 minutes.
yeah.
Won't happen.
Yeah.
But it'll be
That's
out.
not going to happen.
We're usually early, so like, it'll be fine.
Like it'll be up when a majority of people wake up.
Exactly, which is what we try to shoot for.
Yeah.
Hey guys,
What are we talking about today?
welcome to the Chris and Kyle show from a different colored wall.
Mm-hmm.
He's Chris and I'm Kyle. We're talking about spoilers for. I just combined season and true into one sound.
Uh-huh.
True Detective season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Only season 1, because neither of us have seen season 2, or the first 3 episodes of season 3.
Mm-hmm.
But we will, because next month you'll get season 2, and the month after that you'll get season 3.
Mm-hmm.
Fun little project. So, True Detective. I know that this is one of your favorite things in the world.
Yes.
And I just saw it for the first time. We
Uh-huh.
watched it. People that matter are Kari Joji Fukunaga, who directs every episode. Nick Pizzolatto, who is the creator and writes every episode, right?
Is it Pizzolatto or is it
Pizzolatto, sorry.
Pizzolatto?
P-I.
Yeah.
Pizza, a lot of pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Pizzolatto.
And he's the main creative force
the
behind
creator
all of True Detective.
and written. Right? He's the only credited writer.
Mhm.
And so, I'm sorry, I'm looking at an episode. I might be lying. There's a few other writers, but we'll talk about the changes to season 2 when we get to that episode, because it does change. But for this season, the super critically acclaimed first season of True Detective, those are the creative forces behind it. And then on the screen, your really important people are Matthew McConaughey as Rustin Cole, Woody Harrelson as Marty Hart, and then Michelle Monaghan. I mean, those are kind of only they're the ones that matter.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of like secondary and tertiary characters that play parts and move the plot forward and stuff like that. But those are the only 3 that
and are still good. Like I don't.
yeah, for sure. Still
there are
good.
no
Well,
performances that
so
stick
like
out.
some people don't know. Alexander Daddario is in it. Shea Wiggum is in it, and more. Those are probably the most recognizable. And Shea Wiggum is only recognizable because we've talked about him before. Yeah. Do you want to start?
Okay, so
I know that this is
one of the reasons why like we're even I would say doing True Detective, right, is because I love True Detective.
that was
season
your
1 so much.
4th time watching this first season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And 4th time like on and off.
Yeah.
Like I'll watch 4 episodes here and there.
Okay.
You know.
Well, because episode 4 is so dope.
Episode 4 specifically is so dope, but I really enjoy the beginning of True Detective.
Interesting. Okay.
The most.
Really?
Yeah, like the first 4 seasons.
See, I liked more from 4 on.
See, the reason why I like the first 4 episodes so much is because like that's when you get the most of Russ philosophies and like the way that he
which
thinks
we'll
and
get
stuff,
into that.
which I love. But Russ Cole, Matthew McConaughey's character is my second favorite character of all time
Behind
in
Abed?
TV or movies, behind Abed Adir in Community.
Chris and Kyle make a podcast.
How'd you think about it? What's your first
It's amazing.
impression?
One, it's incredibly well made.
Yeah.
Like writing, directing, acting, everything is off the charts. So what it basically comes down to is taste, I think.
Right.
Like anyone could watch this and recognize that it's good, like just well done.
Yeah.
Now, if it's pretty slow. It's very deliberate paced. People are kind of hard to understand, which I kind of struggled with a little bit with those Louisiana drawls.
Yeah.
Even at times, like Matthew McConaughey, I was like, "What is he saying?" Just because of the accents, and just kind of getting through that. But I think, like I said, I liked it actually more the second half from 4 on, because unlike you, I don't love Russ Cole. I just kind of think he's an asshole.
Right.
Because he kind of sucks.
Okay, so Russ, by his own definition, says that that he's a He's a pessimist.
What's the quote that he says? He says, some people would call me he says, some people would call me a pessimist. I consider myself a realist.
Yeah.
Which I get it.
And Woody Harrelson's like,
but to
what
me,
does that
like
mean?
the
He's
whole
like,
time I'm watching the show, I'm like, you're just sad, dude. You're just really sad. You're just so sad. And I don't mean like Donald Trump sad. I mean like he's literally just a sad man.
like he's depressed.
He lost his daughter and his wife left him. Like he's just lived a really sad life.
Mm-hmm.
And like he was very lonely his whole life, and a lot like they talk about it all. I'm like, you're just so sad, and like you buy into the whole pessimistic outlook thing, which is very he's really engaging, like as a character. It's very interesting to see, especially played off of Woody Harrelson is great. The way they play off each other, which they try to like trick you. They're like, Woody Harrelson's a normal good guy, and you're like, nah, Woody Harrelson sucks.
Yeah.
Like it sucks.
And if you're
he's
like
a piece of shit.
And if you're gauging their both of their characters morally, fucking
Russ Cole is a much better man.
Is a much better person.
He's a very good person. He's just a pessimist. I think there's one of the scenes in the interview scenes with Michelle Monaghan where she's like, I believe that Russ Cole is a fundamentally good man. And it's like, yeah, he is.
So anybody
he does the right. That was kind of something that I like throughout the show. I was like, if he just is such a pessimist and thinks all of like he talks about how like life doesn't matter and humans shouldn't exist and all this like super hardcore shit. But at the same time, like if he really believed that deep down, he wouldn't be doing his job as well as he does it. So like throughout the whole show, you're like, he says these things and he has these very flamboyant and out there philosophies that he talks about. But at the end of the day, deep down, he just does the right thing.
Right. So for those that haven't seen True Detective, aren't really planning on seeing True Detective, and you want to know who Rust is, so Rust as his life philosophy is antinatalism, and a lot of people would misattribute it as nihilism, and it's not far off, because nihilism is basically thinking that nothing matters. Yeah. Whatever I do, like none of this shit matters because we're all just fucking dust in the wind, whatever. Yeah. Now, Rust believes that that life is inherently not good for us. That it is almost that human consciousness is against human nature.
He says like the greatest flaw in evolution was humans becoming sentient, essentially. Like, having a conscience.
Yeah, the sense of identity is the ultimate sin. Like is it's a part of nature that's against itself. And that leads to a lot of like really depressing shit. He believes that all of humanity should commit suicide. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. He's a crazy person.
Yeah. But at the same time, like where it's coming from. It's almost like it's like the right person got a hold of him at the right time to tell him these. Like he is the right person to himself, right? Because he's a very smart man. Yeah. And when he was at his lowest, it's like he discovered these philosophies and was like, yeah, my life, the way my life has gone, it seems true. And my job and he was, going undercover with all these horrible people and just seeing horrible things as a homicide. Like everything in his life was attributing back to these philosophies being right. But somehow I think is what the best part of his character to me, somehow through all that, through him spouting all of this philosophy, he still will always does the right thing. Like he the whole plot of the show, like he never had to come back in what was it 2010 or whatever, 2015 to the present timeline of the show to come back and finish solving that crime that they thought they had solved in 1995. That's
another thing that we need to talk about is that this
three different time periods.
Exactly, three different time periods where you're seeing it's very like anthological in its own right. Like even within the season itself, you're seeing three different time periods over
1995, 2002, and I think like 2014 or 15.
Right.
Whenever the show came out.
Yeah, basically like the present day. And it's fucking super interesting for a few reasons. Why Nick Pizzolatto did that was super interesting. You get to see these characters in three drastically different time periods. But you also see what seems like more legit detective work.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
things take forever.
Yeah.
In that realm, and
even within each timeline,
mm-hmm.
they take like it's very realistic to where things take a long time to figure
Exactly.
out. Like Matthew McConaughey spends most of his time just driving around talking to people, like
mm-hmm.
taking days and weeks to get the information he needs to solve really the big crime
mm-hmm.
of the season.
But the way that they bookend this show is with in present day, they are being examined
Mm-hmm.
by these two police officers that believe that Russ Cole is the one that's committing these murders.
Yeah.
And they're trying to find both Russ and Marty's and Marty are trying to find this killer.
Yeah.
That they found in 1995, or they
thought they found
that they
found out they didn't.
Yeah, exactly. And they do a really interesting thing where, like, the concept and the formatting of having that bookend structure
mm-hmm.
and having these two cops basically interview both Marty as well as Russ' character
and Michelle Monaghan's character.
Well, it's kind of like a really clever way to do like a mockumentary. I don't know if you thought about this at all, but I was like, basically these interviews are kind of like, these are like talking heads in The Office.
They are.
But they're integrated.
They're not funny, but
yeah.
But they're shedding.
Sometimes
they're shedding.
They're funny.
Well, yeah, both characters are very funny
mm-hmm.
in very dry ways, but
mm-hmm.
I mean, like, it's not a comedy.
Exactly.
But yeah, they do shed light on the situations and on the characters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is probably, I would say, is the greatest thing about True Detective
mm-hmm.
is the characterizations.
Oh, for sure.
For sure. The writing, the directing, the performances.
It's a combination of all three, yeah.
The format.
To create brilliant characters.
Exactly. And that's what ultimately it is as a vehicle, and why it interests me so much is, I think the reason why I love it so much is because the person that's probably the most fascinating is the person that I find most or that they're intending to be most fascinating. Completely hooked me.
Yeah.
The first time that I heard Russ Cole talk about the way that he thought, I was just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, he's crazy.
I was so compelled.
It's not just that he has wild, out there, not popular ideals,
mm-hmm.
but is that he's so confident in them,
mm-hmm.
and he comes across as so intelligent with them. What was I going to say? I don't know. I wanted to bring up, because we're talking about the actors a little bit, I wanted to talk about Shea Whigham. I think Shea Whigham is a fucking awesome actor. Like, we watched him in Homecoming for a spoiler episode a couple weeks ago or something, and then he was in this again, and like, he's so different.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I remember seeing something on him last year where I think some website gave him like Performer of the Year, and I was like, who? I've never even heard of this guy.
Right. And
it was because he had been in like 4 or 5 different projects.
Right.
And he's a total character actor.
Mm-hmm.
The dude is like, he just is very good at diving into the role and being different every time I've seen him, mm-hmm. and rocking those sideburns.
He's really interesting character in this one, and it is fairly different from the one that's in Homecoming.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you first meet him, because when you first meet him, he's preaching and he's very eccentric,
mm-hmm.
and he's like yelling
and compelling.
And he's gesturing, and you're like, this
mm-hmm.
dude's nuts. And in Homecoming, he's like completely subdued, and he's not confident, and he's kind of a goober.
Right.
Yeah.
So on top of the performances, I would say going back to that format
mm-hmm.
of the bookending format, not just the 3 different timelines, but having that present timeline to bookend everything.
Yes.
Right. That doesn't go on throughout the entire show. What they do is 2 or 3 episodes out of like the end of the season.
The last 2 episodes are all present.
Exactly. The last 2 episodes are all present.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is you're taking those first 6 episodes, mm-hmm. 5 episodes, whatever
6,
it was.
Yeah.
6 episodes. Those first 6 episodes are, you know that Marty and Rust are going to be okay.
Yeah, you don't fear for their life. Like the famous tracking shot in episode mm-hmm. 4 that, I think they won an Emmy for that episode,
mm-hmm.
for directing. Like that, as compelling and as
tense,
insanely well done
mm-hmm.
as that scene is, they're going to make it.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's more of a matter of, are they going to get what they need? And look what's happening around them.
Well, and you're also like, what the fuck is going to happen?
Yeah.
Up into this point in the present.
Mm-hmm.
But once they shed that format, which I thought that it was a brilliant format. Shedding it is even more brilliant because then you enter a realm of uncertainty with the writing, where you're like, okay,
you no longer feel safe.
Exactly. And once they track down this killer, once they track down the Yellow
going into
King,
that final confrontation,
it makes everything that much more compelling.
That was like I was edge of my I was sitting on an air mattress, but edge of my air mattress, like lean forward. I was like, this is not partially the build up to it, but partially because that dude is like wild. Like what?
Okay, so the villain that they're trying to go after, the Yellow King, or Carcosa. I'm not really sure if Carcosa was supposed to be is the name of the main guy, or if even the Yellow King is supposed to be him, right? But the entire time you hear in the beginning of the show this thing about the Yellow King, and they're tracing down.
It's very subtle. I missed it.
And they're chasing down this character that was a spaghetti monster with green ears that chased this girl through the woods.
Yeah. Kid gave the description to a sketch artist of a spaghetti monster with green ears.
And the entire time you hear from other characters about a large
Scarred
giant man that had scars underneath his face.
Has a beard, essentially.
And it builds up the suspense for the reveal of who this character is. And then when you actually find out, in that last episode is when you actually start to get some character and you see him being who he is in his own environment.
They basically tell you who he is at the end of episode 7.
Yes.
When the two cops that were doing the interviewing just randomly meet him, and then he does that like comically villainous talks to himself as the camera pans away and the episode ends. I looked over and I was like, that's like the most villain thing you could ever do. Like if someone keeps talking after they drive away, they're a villain. But you're like, oh, that's who it is. And I think something that adds to the show being great is like I didn't feel cheated by that at all. I was like enamored by it. I was like, they met him. That's the dude from the school. And I was like they could have thrown back to any random.
You could have forgotten that. I was actually glad that you remembered.
No, because I remembered that scene. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, like they could have chosen any random character from throughout the show. They could have picked like a dirty cop or a sheriff who was, or they could have just made it the governor guy. Like they could have gone to anybody, but just like this random dude. And I was hooked by it. I was like, who is this guy? Why? Like I remember him. I remember that scene. Why is he doing these things? How? And he's like related to the governor's family and stuff. It's crazy.
But see, the episode 8 is when you actually get some character work on him, and you get to see him in his own environment, in his dirty ass house. Yeah. And he's
with his half sister that he bones.
Yeah. And he fingers his half sister as she's telling him about how she was raped by their grandpa. Yeah. It's pretty. It's pretty.
He's a messed up dude.
Yeah. It seems like a swell guy though.
No. He doesn't. One of the things about that character is they don't really explain anything about him.
There's no motive.
Does he have multiple personalities?
So okay.
Or does he just like doing weird accents?
So he does like 3 separate spot-on accents.
Very good. Yeah, the dude kills it. I don't know who the actor is, but he kills it. He does like the posh British. He does the swampy Louisiana, and he does the I don't even know how to describe it.
There's another one where he's talking to, because there's his normal swampy bayou accent, but then there's another one. Yeah, you could say that he probably does.
Yeah, he does 4. He has his normal speaking voice, his exaggerated Louisiana voice, his pompous British voice, and then
there's another one where he's talking to his sister, and it's like very weird, pirate-esque.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's really weird. I don't even. You would have to talk more for me to be able to describe it. But his super swampy, like there's the part where he talks to his sister, and he says, "Tell me about Grandpa." It's so deep. I can't mimic it. Yeah. It's so fucking deep. And then he keeps
using it, which is really scary.
Oh my God.
When Rust is going through the horror house that is the path to where they were doing these horrible things. Yeah. He kept calling him a priest. I was like,
come here,
that priest. Dude. I was so confused by him, but not in a bad way. You know what I mean? I was just like, what is this dude's deal?
It makes you, but it makes him that more compelling because they don't explain him.
Yeah, exactly. He's just nuts. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, he was spooky. Spooky.
What didn't you like about it? About the show?
I think more than like not liking it, I was just like, stop being bad. Just fucking like Woody Harrelson, stop being an asshole. It's in you to be a good person.
Well, you probably like despised Woody Harrelson's character.
He sucks, dude. Yeah. He sucks. And then they redeem him like halfway through the show, and you're like, okay, you know, he's in the 7-year jump. He's turned his life around, and he's been faithful and faithful to his wife, and apparently found faith, which they didn't really show. They just talked about it, but like, you know, it's things to make him look like he's a better person.
Right.
And then you're just like, nah, he just sucks.
Yeah. Let's talk more about Woody Harrelson's character. So Marty Hart is someone who is just very obsessed with the idea of the perfect, like, of the American dream, of having the wife, the kids, but the problem is that like he has like an inner fucking reptilian part that fucking won't allow him to have that.
It's very strange.
But his outer part fucking justifies.
Yeah, that's the most wild part. Because I said this to you like right when we first see him cheat with Alexandra Daddario, they go pretty quickly, I think, to another talking head essentially scene where he basically is like,
you know, you have to unwind.
Yeah, he's basically just talking about why it's okay that he did the things he did.
Literally,
and I was like, it's like 20 years later, and he's still justifying it to himself. Like, I could tell from like the second episode that he has no guilt toward the things that he's done wrong, and like that blew my mind. And it's weird because like by the end, you're like, you accept Marty for who he is. You kind of both of them. You're like, they are who they are. They're flawed, but they're good people. You know what I mean? Like, in their core, they're good, but they have major flaws.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I loved about the talking heads that they had with the cops is how much the talking heads were different than the things that were actually happening.
Yeah,
like the unreliable narrator aspect of those talking heads.
Well, and they did it very poignantly at points where they straight up are lying to the cops while showing you what they really did to kind of double down on, like the scene where they find Reggie Ledoux. Reggie Badu is Erykah Badu's cousin. Reggie Ledoux, and like they're just straight up lying about what they did, and we see how it actually went down, and then we see them set it up to look like it happened the way they're describing, and then you start thinking like even more. You're like, we know that they're estranged in the present timeline. Why are they still covering up for it? Like, it's so wild, like the layers to the characters. I kind of had this thought while we were watching. I was like, it's almost like Nick Pizzolatto came up with Russ Cole and or Marty Hart, and then was like, he had the characters, and he's like, I know these characters in and out, deep down, who they are, what they are, and then was like, what would work best for them?
Right.
Oh, a detective show. We'll make them detective. Like they could be plunked out and placed into any number of style of storytelling. That's how good the characters are. Exactly. They could have been doctors or lawyers or
like a Game of Thrones spinoff.
Exactly. Yeah. Like they could be spaceship pilots or something. Like they could be anything. But the characters are so good that I think it was just them finding the right medium to tell the story. And I think another thing that speaks to it is I don't think that like the plot is the important part. Like you talked about how the characters are the best part. I literally think it is. Marty and Rust are just such fully realized characters that it was just about finding the best vehicle for them to tell a story.
Yeah, and one thing that's so interesting about it is that it's really easy to kind of like prescribe what it is, you know, like it's really easy to look at it and be like, oh, it's two dudes in a cop show, it's a buddy cop movie, you know. But like even if it were, it's not even a dramatic version of a buddy cop movie or a subverted version of it. There's certain tropes that they do provide as far as like the interplay between them, and
their interplay is amazing.
But I mean, really, it's just a vehicle for amazing characters.
Like I would subscribe to the idea that if Nick Pizzolatto felt like it, He could be like, oh, I'm making a show called True Lawyers, starring Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson as Rustin Cole and Marty Hart, and they just play lawyers. And I'd be like, yep, I'll watch that.
Yeah.
It's the exact same characters doing something different. It's like an alternate universe of what they became. I would watch that.
Yeah.
Like Suits with them, but not as like over the top as Suits is.
Right.
Yeah. I love Suits though.
Yeah.
I love that show.
I love it too.
I goddamn love Suits.
Yeah. Anything else that you don't like? Not just.
Well, it's like I said in the beginning.
Despising the characters.
It's like it just comes down to taste, and what it's the difference is like you love it, and it's like one of your favorite things like on screen. Whereas me, I just think it's amazing. It's just not the thing that I'm gonna love the most. You know what I mean?
It doesn't cater to your personality.
I'm not gonna like go make a top 5 list of my favorite TV shows ever and put True Detective on it.
Yeah,
I would maybe say like, you know, make a list of the top 10 TV shows of the 2000s, and it would probably be on there.
Yeah.
It's incredibly well made. Well, it's season 1. We don't know about the rest, and we've heard things. But I've heard good things about season 3 so far, so that's good. Mahershala.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. I did have. I was looking through all the awards and stuff, and Michelle Monaghan got nominated for Best Actress, and I thought that was kind of interesting because I don't think she's not good. I just feel like there's not. You know what it is? I think she earns it later on in the season. You know, like when she like gets real mad.
Yeah.
That's when she earns it.
Well, yeah, she becomes her own person.
Yeah.
And then like she
goes
gets
from
back
being
at
like
Marty.
the token wife character early on, where she's really just there to be, to realize that Marty's a dick.
Yeah.
Basically, and to take care of his family essentially, to later on really gaining agency and becoming her own character.
Yeah.
But like I was like, because I had looked at the list before that episode, and I was like, what does she do later on to like earn this nomination? She's just normal so far. She's not bad. It's just very normal. And then I think later on, you're like, oh, okay,
she becomes a lot more interesting.
I get it.
She becomes a lot more interesting.
I'm gonna coerce his partner into having sex with me while he's drunk to get revenge on him. So, yeah, it's nuts. But yeah, I don't think there's anything that I didn't like. It's just a matter of, is it my favorite thing?
Like, I think that there's a potential for someone to watch Matthew McConaughey's performance and like roll their eyes. I think that's possible. I think that it's possible for someone to see like Russ Cole and be like, this guy's fucking pretentious.
He is pretentious.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like you would be like, oh man, I love this quote, and then he would say, I'd be like, he's just a fucking dick.
Right.
Like I'm like, he's just an asshole. So I don't feel the way passionately that you feel about him, but I still like him as a character. I still find him captivating.
Right.
I just think he's a dick.
Yeah. I agree.
But yeah, I think that's it for thoughts on season 1.
I don't have anything else.
You excited for next week?
What's next week?
Oscar special, baby.
Yeah. I think that there's 4 or 5 best pictures that I haven't seen.
Yeah, we're behind.
Yeah. I'm gonna sprint through them though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that we're in LA, dude, it's gonna be so
we
easy.
don't really have anything to do.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. There's also like some weird. We'll talk about it for sure. There's some weird nominations and some weird snubs and stuff. 8th grade. Come on. So sad. Yeah. That's us. Come back next week for the Oscar special. And check us out on social media. The Chris and Kyle Show on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on all of your podcasting platforms. I'm doing my airline voice there for a second. That was weird. tcaks pod on Twitter. We will be back with a poll in a couple weeks because next week is the Oscar special. So next month we'll do a poll again. Find his social medias, Chris Michael Stott on Instagram, and his website. Check out his scripts. Find me, Davinwell25, on Twitter and on Instagram. Yeah. It's been real. It's been true. True detective. What are we? Some kind of true detective?
That's fucking stupid. That's fucking stupid. Which one do you think that you are? Like if one of us had to be Marty and one of us had to be Russ.
See, the thing is, like, I feel like I'm neither of them for sure, but you would be Rust.
Yeah.
So by default, I'm Marty.
You're Marty.
And I'm mad about it. Can I be Michelle Monaghan?
Nah.
Why not?
Because then we'd still fuck. That's weird.
There's got to be somebody I can be.
You can be Shea Wiggum.
No, I'll be the dude who owns the bar that Matt McConaughey works at. He
That's
seems
cool.
like he lives a pretty chill life.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
All right, dude. We out.
We out. Stay weird.